I get the feeling that when you talk about birth, when you talk about this, the experience, people are mostly like, oh my God, we're pregnant. So-and-so's pregnant. We have a baby. Oh my God, oh my God. Like, it's a huge, amazing life change, right? That is not talking about the stress and change that is coming with it. And that's a guarantee, and it's okay, and it's beautiful. But I hope people get from this podcast the importance of discussing. You're going to have physical change, emotional change, relationship change, responsibility change, maturity change. Like, the change is going to be off the hook, crazy.
Yes.
Right? That's different than, oh my God, I'm so excited. There's a lot. So, patience.
But they can have their excitement. And
both
of
course.
That's life.
Yeah, you need it to get through it.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Birth from Within, where inner wisdom meets grounded preparation. We're here to share raw, real birth stories and offer the insight and tools you need to move through the system with courage, clarity, and authority. You are made for this. Your body knows what to do. This podcast is the heart work of a nurse and a perinatal chiropractor, women who have walked our own birth journeys, and now we walk beside you. In each episode, we share practical tools, grounded wisdom, and deep reverence for your body's design. Let's return to the root, because birth doesn't start in a delivery room, birth starts from within.
Having a baby and giving birth, there's books, but it's not like there's like books for it. You kind of figure it out. Yes. Every new parent's, it's a new thing. So there's a lot to learn.
A lot to learn.
Yeah.
Working as a postpartum nurse, it was just like, I've seen so many variations of women struggling with breastfeeding, of the worst to the best, healing journeys of just like, oh yeah, I know what to expect for 4 days. It didn't help us 1% until you go through it, right? Until you breastfeed a baby, it doesn't matter how many women you help breastfeed, it's just different. And so some of it's knowing that, of just creating the margin, having grace for yourself and each other, especially because it's a lot. You are creating a postpartum plan for this time. What are things you would advise other couples to do going into those first couple weeks?
Go in with a plan. If it has to change along the way, great, but at least have a plan. So take care of food, right? Because if you're breastfeeding, you want to nourish your body to be successful and all that. So what are you going to do with food? Who is going to cook for you? Are you going to have free food like Instapot kind of stuff? Now it's popular that you get, instead of a baby shower, like I just don't know the name.
I've seen this like meal prep
shower or something. Like everybody comes in and they help you prep a bunch of meals for those couple weeks. So what are you doing with food?
And an ode to that of whoever's cooking, we did not do a good job because none of us cooked consistently, but just making a little extra and freezing that for even starting at 30 weeks, and you'll be so set for a long time that can really serve you well.
Because again, you don't have a lot of time to be like, oh, let me cook. No, it's like, what can I do as quick as I can, as nutritious as we can. So I would say that take care of the food. If you have little ones, what's going to happen when the baby comes? Who is going to stay with the little one? As a mom of a newborn, how much do you want to care for your older one? Like, no, is it like we're going to put him in a daycare for a couple hours? Are we going to bring your mom? Or are we going to bring your mom and then your sister and then your aunt? Like, so at least you're covered with people that...
Yes. The ages, I think, are really dependent here. Like you said, the closer versus further away. So when ours were close, it's such a hard transition for those kids when they're like probably 1 to 3 range. That was the hardest part of us with our second baby, was the transition for our firstborn. And so I know when you would say, I'm going somewhere, I'm going to bring her, even though she didn't want to leave, that was the best ever, when I just had time alone with the baby. So,
and it was great bonding time with me and the older one.
Yeah, which that's what I usually see, that dads will obviously like they take care of the big one, stay with them, while mom can stay with the...
But it's amazing.
Yes. Food, kids, and then chores around the house, right? Because if you're a type A, I need my house clean, how are you going to make that possible? Because you don't want to be 1 day postpartum and you're doing laundry. No. Also, I am a strong woman, so I'm like, I can do all this. So 2-3 days later, I'm doing laundry, folding, this and that. And he's like, what the heck are you doing? I was like, I feel good. But I was still healing. I didn't.
And then early on, probably a good indication that you're doing too much is that your bleeding increases. So you might feel good, but a lot of times you're like, nope, my body is saying this is too much. So that's amazing. If you yell at her, go get in bed. Yell at her kindly.
How much you yell.
Sorry, yell in a way of, hey, honey, you're doing too much. Let me do that for you.
Yell with the sweet.
So for breastfeeding journey, then if you're gonna breastfeed, at least take a breastfeeding class so you kind of know the basics of breastfeeding, and then kind of put roles like who is gonna do what. How can you serve me best during this time? What else?
I would say what you said first was most important. Have a plan, but don't be so rigid, because 9 times out of 10 that plan is going to go right out the window. You know, you said that you're an OB nurse, right? Postpartum working, right? And so we had no idea that Myra was going to go through a horrific pregnancy. We weren't ready for that. And then afterwards, the healing process, it's more than 3 weeks, 6 weeks. The healing process is a year, 2 years. So the levels of communication now, after having several kids, what are you doing for food? What are you doing for chores? What are you doing for business? How are you going to continue the money supply of career and whatever you're trying to accomplish, right? What are you doing for neighbors and friends coming over? What are you doing when things don't work out? What are you doing if breastfeeding doesn't work? What are you doing? Like, there's a
what
lot
are you doing if when you see your wife destroy crying because she thinks she can't do breastfeeding, or when she has headaches that don't go away because of the stress of breastfeeding and the baby and the other, and trying to be herself again, because that is part of our hormonal cocktail.
We didn't even talk about sex yet. When you're going to start having sex, the emotions and the hormones go wild. There was one time where she was I don't remember which child, but it was like, what's going on? Are you not touching me? And I'm like, you're still bleeding. You're still healing. So
don't you love me? Don't you want me?
So the preparation.
You're leaking from everywhere.
Right. And there's guys, quote unquote, needs, right? There's women's needs. There's up and down hormones. There's life. So like, to prepare for that, to know it may not go exactly the way that you plan. Maybe super excited, wants to get down all the time. Maybe not. Maybe it might be several months. That's okay.
Well, with sex, I say by the end of pregnancy, you're having a lot of sex, so that you have 2 or 3 weeks of nothing.
That's okay.
2 or 3 or more.
Any pregnancy sex was some of the best stuff, so you go from the best to none for months.
Yes.
Like, what is happening?
Nothing for months, and then they hate you too, and it's like,
Yes.
Which is so funny how that probably all plays into it a little bit,
Yeah.
You're like, it doesn't help you to not be having sex, but then you don't want to have sex even more because you hate that.
Another thing, smells, if it continues on from pregnancy, right? Certain foods, certain smells, certain fragrances, certain things in the house. Sometimes women just are like, definitely not. You're not wearing that ever again. Don't argue. It's like, we can't cook chicken. Great. Chicken's out for how many months? Like, don't argue that. Because we don't know what it feels like to go through that.
You stink. Throw that color in the garbage.
And I'm just going to say this for the men out there. While the woman is the priority, the woman gave birth, we did not, right? The woman is healing, the woman is nursing, doing all that. It is okay for the ladies out there to throw their man a bone every once in a while of like, wow, really, I appreciate you, you're helping, thank you for this, XYZ, fake it till you make it, even if you're like, God, what is this guy doing? Sometimes a little bit of positive reinforcement could help a husband who's gone astray or is not, exactly right. Not exactly whipping him back. They'd be like, you're not doing this right, you're not doing it. It's like
sandwich your criticism.
Because I do think, for preparation aspect, right, sometimes women may minimize what a man goes through during this process too. Of like, they don't have the baby, they don't have the physical change, they don't blank, they can jump right back into their life right away. Yet there is a change for men. I changed when we had our baby. Life changes. That day it changes, and all of a sudden you got this little person, you know what I mean? It's big, and then you have the thoughts of, what kind of man am I going to be? How can I support? How can I provide? And going through that whole jungle of figuring it out in postpartum.
Because if you're not well armed to as a relationship, right, partners, marriages too can get hurt from having kids.
Postpartum
Because of-
can destroy a marriage if
Yeah.
you don't take it seriously enough that it's worth it, right?
I think from a male perspective, again, like you were saying, I end up wanting to continue to be like, oh, well, I can't help with breastfeeding. I can't help with this. This is weird. I've never seen this before. What do I know? Okay, it's provide, stay in my lane. And then a lot of men end up, and I found this, was just work more. You know, especially the more kids you have, that's more mouths to feed. You got to keep going and going, and then it ends up, instead of you getting into the uncomfortable and stepping in and saying like, okay, how can I get creative? How can I help you more? How can I help the baby more? And it's taking classes, it's reading books, it's getting involved, it's asking questions. It's going in that I was awful at this. I did stick to my lane of like work more.
Well, I don't think it was just work more. I feel like a good topic is like, well, you guys stepping into maturity, because you did get here, but it wasn't for you just work. It was that you did everything the same. So it was like hobbies and play and friends, and like there was
what
no
I knew. That was what I was comfortable
I feel it's
with.
like because nothing changes, it's harder to realize the sacrifices you need to make, whereas the woman has no choice really in a lot of cases. And so I feel like that's a good thing for you guys to both say, of like now 2 and 4 kids in with businesses, your life looks so different. And it's hard, you know, you didn't go just like A to Z. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit to that, of the shift from, even though you didn't change from a provider role, it just realized like that is almost secondary to your family. And also it's not forever that we're so needy, you know, like if things level out a little bit.
Be careful.
Guilty.
But not as needy as the first 2 weeks or 6 weeks.
Do you know how much sleep I have lost for 4 kids?
Do you know how much sleep I have lost?
Also, this is so dear that he's talking. You don't have to be afraid of defending us. He never did a night shift. This is new that 4 years, not one time. So when he's talking about sleep, there wasn't that much sacrifices.
I think it's important for men to understand the maturity gap up that's necessary. And it's also, again, women can give men, or they guess they do, right, a little bit of grace in that too, because it is a shift. And we're trying our best. Men are so, step-oriented, list-oriented. Oh, I do this, I do this, I do this. Of course I go to my friend's house. That's how I de-stress, so I don't freak out at work. But we don't realize things have changed. Things have changed.
And we suck with
Big
change.
time. Yes. It could take.
For us, Naz travels a lot, and he loves to play sports and see friends and a lot of things. And a shift that happened is realizing how much more there is to take care of at home. Every time he leaves, it's like he's worried about just himself, whereas I'm always worried about me and other people. So I feel like a huge shift was like you, one, finding balance of making sure it wasn't just you that was always getting the things that were taking care of you. It was like, I want to make sure that's happening for you.
Or when I do go on a work trip, if I need to make sure that the most important part is your family. I want to make sure they're taken care of first. From like a physical standpoint, is there food prepped for the week for them? Do they have what they need for the week? Is there anything else that I can be providing?
Team front, so that
before I go,
exactly, that you're not like leaving them
stranded.
floundering.
Good luck.
Looking for their vagina teeth.
Exactly.
And going back way early, I was upstairs and I couldn't do stairs for a week because you're really not supposed to move. Because I had a episiotomy and no stitches, and so like you have to sit in bed with your legs like together.
Yes.
So that was a lot. Your first 2 weeks, he shined. The first baby, second baby, not.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, you got it figured out now. We're good.
Well, it was a much easier recovery second time, but it was just, we were sick, and then also the shift in family dynamics.
That's huge.
Is something hard to prepare for, of how your kids are going to react, and they're going to have a hard time shifting position.
Yes.
How they're going to react.
You have now put in one of the most demanding people in your life, and so just everything shifts, and I don't think we talk about that enough. And you only figure it out in your own family of what works, but again, it's demanded by the woman. I think the man can take a little more time, but there are so many ways to step in.
With our kids, we did every time another baby will come to the house, that baby will bring present for the other kids. So that was like a nice present, like, hey, your new baby brought you this.
Yes.
So like it was like a shirt, like I'm a big brother, or a book, like we have a big sister.
Cool.
Something like that was cool. If I had to give the little ones a baby, to say, hey, you do the baby, mommy does the baby. Getting in the relationship, but also having my space with the baby, because some kids will be on the baby, like I said, I don't know how many times, gentle, please be gentle, be gentle, because the other ones wanted to
Yes.
But then older kids are like, can you take it back when the baby came?
Yeah,
You know,
it's
so
kind of a dud. They don't do that much.
that's another preparation. Like, oh, you hope that, everything goes smooth, but sometimes still, like, the little ones trying to still be with you when they see the newborn in your chest, or...
And that's what I would say with the second baby, where going back to him being absent for that period, and then he's like, your mom's there. But for us, my family lives across the country, so our 2-year-old didn't have the relationship with my family that like, they couldn't help with her. And that's where I needed help the most. And the shift in having your first baby, and then her suffering so much, but now you have a newborn baby that, you're nursing, is up every 2 hours. You have to protect that baby from them. I think the heartbreak I felt in hearing her distress and not being able to help her, it was so brutal. And that's where you're like, only he could have stepped into that, and he wasn't there. And so that's where it's like, it's so hard, but your presence is needed so much in that time early on, so where you can guard that space. And then of course, I think sometimes guys are like, of course, how can you get mad at them for providing? And it's just like, nobody's mad at you for providing. It's, I think, how you portray what's important, and sometimes it feels like that's the most important, because I think it is that you get to leave you get to leave the chaos and the woman that hates you and is struggling and the screaming kids, and it's a lot. And it's just like, if you can sit in that mess with them and just say like, you're the most important and let's figure this out.
At least have a conversation.
Yeah, and I'm saying like the first 2 weeks, obviously not indefinitely, and thank God society's changing a little for jobs where there's a little more time for men, I think, to be around or to tag team it where they're able to step in, because some of it's abysmal in that, like with our own business, it's hard. With a lot of men, they don't have time off. It's hard to figure out, but it's just looking at like, yes, that first week or two is so vulnerable, and there's nothing like your presence. If you can be there as a giver.
You're still valuable, you still can help. We appreciate
Yes, we couldn't do it without you.
And if you don't know, then ask. Right? Because sometimes it's like, oh, well, I'm assuming that whatever. No, ask. Is there anything I can do to help? Is there anything?
But you say that, but it's also like the worst question ever. Right? So probably it deserves a conversation early on, but I think eventually we got to the place where he's like, what more could I be doing? And you're
like, look around. There's benches, there's laundry, there's all this.
Are you serious? Like, how could you say that? So then it helped if he then got a list to himself that's like, before I ever ask that question, let me tackle these few things. And once I'm there, then if there's an opportunity, I could ask that question. But it's like, is the kitchen a mess? Has food been cleaned? Have the kids eaten? Are we, baths, bed, diaper change? There's so many things. Which diaper change is a big one. You were fantastic. There we go.
Hey,
Always diaper changer. Like, I changed a lot, but you would never, like, I would have to ask you, or like, he never does this. If you were with the baby, you were on it. And so those are little things, but like buying diapers, there's so many things that are a running list that often falls on the woman. Just like clothes, changing the amount of laundry of babies and pooping and bathing them.
Blown out diapers in the car seats.
Yeah.
The car seats.
Those are the fun surprises.
So fun surprises, yes. But I think that's a really great thing that you stepped up on and never made it like, that's your thing or it's the baby. It was just like you were very willing to step in.
Yeah, which I come from, I'm a Puerto Rican, so in Puerto Rico, dads don't clean that. I mean, my dad never cleaned a diaper.
I think it's that generation above us too.
My dad was like that too.
They thought it was a flex. They're like, it's not a flex. It's not cool.
It's very nice.
I think that adds to the point about personality types too. This is not cookie cutter. Having kids and raising kids and being in a relationship, it is not just A, B, C, D, F, G. It's two different people, two different backgrounds, two different personality types. There are men that work. There are men that don't want to change Pampers. They can't. There are men that can't find the emotional space to, I don't want to say grow up or mature because that's being rude to the men, but to take care of the kids and put up with that screaming craziness for too long. I think it's a good idea to talk about it, have a conversation, and also know that your man's still going to be the same guy that he was before he gave birth. It doesn't mean he can't grow up, he can't change. But to expect it overnight, you're working with the same guy. If he didn't communicate great before, he's probably not going to communicate great. So work with it, and also good communication. You still want to change, you still want to get better, but I think that can cause problems.
Yeah, I feel like you saying the work, I think sometimes it's like you come home and there's some level of window, whether it's 2 to 4 hours of kids, dinner, there's a lot of stuff going on at home, and maybe it's TV, some culturally, a lot of times it's like dad comes home and he wants to check out.
Yep.
And so I think that's a big thing we had to talk about too, where like we are both working in different capacities, but the rule when you have kids, it never goes away.
Yeah.
And yet so often people are like, you're home and I'm at work. And it's like, you think I'm just hanging out here? Like, you think we're just
How many times do we say that to each other? You'd be saying that about work, though. The person at work would come home happy.
Yes. Well, that's what you said. You're the one that was like had a vacation and you're coming home to me and you're like,
oh my goodness.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And so it's more to like, what is that transition time for you? Because, right, like sometimes you disappear in the bathroom or you want to just leave. And it's like, no, when you come home, you have to be on. What will it take to do that? And so figure out, is it the commute? Is it, don't do it where I can see it, because you come in, you're it, tag.
I'm here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whenever I went to work, I knew it was the most important thing to come home, and that's when you really clock in. A lot of men think like, oh, I'm clocking in to go to my 9 to 5 or something, but like the most important thing in your life, that's what you really need to clock in for. And there'd be times where I'd go to work and I'd come back and I'd see you and I would say those things of like, well, I was at work all day, you know, like.
Or for 6 days or 8 days.
Exactly. And then she went away for like a baby shower and I was alone with the kids for
like
3 days. This
yeah,
is
but I
2
think
years
they're
in or
like,
something like that.
they're 2 and 4, not 1 and 3 or
And
0
then,
and 2.
and then I'm like, oh, this is actually work. Like, this is the hard work. It took me a while to do that. Then when I go to work, I'm on vacation and by myself. You know, like,
that used to be the line. I'm not on vacation. It's like, well, did you pee by yourself? Did you only feed yourself? Did you sit and eat a meal uninterrupted? Was your coffee hot? A lot of little basic.
Was your food
Right?
right?
Yes.
Right? All those little things.
But that you take for granted. And that's where, again, for us, it's always been like just us. The amount of support you as a family have also changes it. Whether that's paid childcare, which thank God we have somebody that came in and she changed our life of having a trusted person that your kids love. But we didn't have that for a lot of years. And some people have family close by that take kids. And I think that helps offset it too, of a different expectation of dad. I think that is a thing to note of how it's hard where the village we speak of is mostly non-existent, and that does put a lot more on dads, which isn't necessarily fair, because I think that's something I can admit postpartum of. He had to be so many things for me. He was my mom and my sister and my friend and my husband and my caretaker, and you're like, that's too much. It's not fair, but it's what it was. And so that's a place where you're like, why are you so mad? It's like, because you're letting me down all the time, but it's not fair.
That's a great statement. It's not fair, but it's what it was.
Yeah.
That could be expanded. It's not fair, but this is what we're working with right now. So let's get together and
And so like we said, if you can fill in those gaps with other people, it'll take the load off both of you and it'll serve you very well.
And there is a healthy boundary fine line between getting help and bringing help and family or friends being overbearing and being involved too much.
That's a great point too. Yeah.
Where it is the couple, it is the mother and the father and the child.
That takes in dad as the boxing out shield role.
Yeah.
Which is more like protect her space.
Yeah.
Whether she agrees with it or not sometimes. Something I've been thinking about is the additional kids. So today is our daughter Sophia's birthday.
Oh my gosh.
She's 6 today.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And what I remember most about her birth is a mistake that I made. She was born, Myra took her to the bed, she's laying in the bed, and I'm like, all right, here's our moment. I'm gonna bond with our child. And I turn and I take a step, and there's our eldest son, and he just ran right in there. And he'd see the baby, and he's like,
Aww.
right? And right away, I got pissed. I was like, that's my spot. That's my baby. You know what I mean? And I just got busy. I started doing chores. I started picking up. And I built a resentment right away of like, that was my moment. And it was taken from me. So I think there was an overstep. I think there was an emotional thing that I could have just nicely gone in and gotten together with everybody and just sat there. You know what I mean? So at peace and calm and just to know, to expect the unexpected. What's going to happen.
Yeah.
Learn like you don't know what's going to be hard sometimes or how it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So whenever you're feeling a trigger or something, breathe.
Yeah.
Just breathe.
And it is crazy. I feel like even just the hard time my oldest one had, there was like a heartbreak and a, why are you making life so hard? You know, you're so many emotions.
Well, I remember when Liberty was born, she was giving her all the attention. And I felt the same thing where it was like, where's my attention? You know, like, we haven't had sex in a while, you know, and also the attention of just like being together. And that's things you don't even expect, these emotions you don't even expect you're ever going to feel.
Yeah.
They come out of nowhere and you're like, whoa, what? Instead of going in and being like, hey, this is really important time for you and our daughter, for you to be spending this time, all this extra time with them, you know, and I need to like mature and give them that space.
The pressure cooker of emotions.
Which again, that's where I can see relationships, you know, ending.
Both of them, though, I feel like did a great job with wives that breastfed and co-slept, where a lot of men I've heard like won't tolerate any of that, and it's like, oh, the dad is the one that won't let them. And I want to give a shout out to you both. It's interesting to hear you say even any amount of jealousy, and sure, there's a huge relationship dynamic shift with this little person, but I do think you did such a good job of saying like, she's the baby, our baby's the one with the needs, and my wife is healing, but like, it makes sense that she's catering to the baby and not me, and I'm a grown man and my needs can be met without being coddled by my wife. I mean, that sounds so simple. It's hard, but I think that's a huge ode to maturity of both of you, that you said like, I'm a grown person and this is a baby. And so for this 1 to 3 to 4 whatever years of really needing, and years of like really needing their mom in a different way, that's what happens. And then loving us through that. And then you're like, the way I would say both of you, I know that you've stepped up in the years, even though it took time to love us, your love has helped me love them better. And it's just like, when you care well for your wife, I just feel like we have a lot more to give, and you end up being a recipient of it roundaboutly. 100%. But I think when you were saying like freeing us to meet the needs of our kids.
Yeah, it's totally like what Adam was saying, these emotions you don't even, I've never felt this before, and then you feel like, I don't know what to do with this, you know, and then you end up, instead of going and getting help, you just like react from a very immature perspective and make it about me, you know. Which
this would be like another extreme measurement, but if you need mental health counseling or anything like that, go for it, because it is hard. It is hard. It's everything that we've talked now, all the transitions and all the changes, and so it's okay to look for help.
Yeah, and probably even you do premarital counseling. Maybe there needs to be some kind of course for couples, like pre-baby counseling, because it is as big, if not bigger, of a shift to your life. Because marriage, you still have your sole autonomy. Kids, you, especially as women, lose that. It's you're no longer, you are a different person. And that's really good. So I think you could prep by doing the work, but then also probably making that, realizing like in that for sure you might need that extra help, and that's okay. And also that a lot of women are like, I don't know the stat, but from postpartum blues to depression to anxiety, I use that as like a medical term of, I think, being gentle with her when you notice things are a pattern, because it's so sensitive. But there sometimes is more, and I think as a man, you can see that of like knowing at least in the first 6 weeks, we're gonna be teary, we're gonna be irrational, we're gonna be highs and lows of a roller coaster. Like day 8, your emotions, day 8 or like 4
months, 9
for
months,
sure. But there's just
15
one where
months.
somebody said they knew their emotions. Somebody we interviewed talked about, and they said, maybe it was my cousin, that she knew her hormones were gonna go crazy and she was gonna be like an emotional wreck, and so she didn't think like, oh, something's wrong with me. It was like, oh, I know, this is just a hormone surge.
Do not underestimate how long this period can be. This is not like, oh, I heard it was only the first week. No.
Sorry, no, just that one extra surge. But yes, that keeps happening. 12 weeks is the 4th trimester, so at least give it 12, and then
you need to really buckle down and know this may last. It's okay.
Forever. But at least 9 months in, 9 months out. And I feel like we've taken 1 to 2 years. I feel like once our babies hit 2, you're kind of like, we've hit a balance, and that's where when you add another one, as soon as you hit that, and then you just spiral back down.
The female body needs more than 6 weeks to heal. The female body needs 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from each pregnancy. So for men or anyone out there, women around the person, to think like, well, dude, you've had too much fat. No. Again, it takes a lot longer.
In a culture that wants us to bounce back, it's not a thing.
No, you change forever, physically, emotionally, responsibly. It's and each one adds to it. Whoever said adding the 4th to the 3rd, it's no big change. Like, oh no.
That's important wisdom.
Going back to what you said, like, oh, it's nice when you guys say words of appreciation and stuff. It's also nice to hear from our husbands. You're doing great. Thank you for this. Like, this is amazing. Like, also reassure your woman that she's good, you know? Like, you're still valued. She's still your wife, right? Because also it's like, okay, now we're mom.
Yes.
We're just mom and a cow feeding a baby.
Yes.
But then where is the wife-husband relationship? That I feel that with, words, it's a nice ways to, okay.
And I think an identity shift too of like sometimes feeling, and even though you're doing the most valuable thing, it's just in a culture where it feels like there's such a controversy on just being a mom or balancing that with business and being a wife. It just feels like you're failing at everything, and you're so vulnerable in how your body's changed. And I think that's a good thing to remember, like your body's always changing, and yes, feeling appreciated, desired, that your husband still cares for you even when you're
feeling like a
cow.
Yes.
Yeah, going through it. Yeah, take the time, even though there's extra work, there's extra change, there's a big pressure cooker, right? But also take the time to just appreciate and say nice things. Yeah.
We can also, as a husband-wife relationship, if you know your husband's love language, you can also add that to the, right? In our case, his love language, do you know that, the 5 love language? So his words of affirmation, I would say I'm more like time spent, the quality time. So even though he could tell me, oh, you're doing great, blah, 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 I'm like, great, I don't care about anything, help me with something or be here with me. So knowing what is your other's love language, you can also make it easier.
Yes, that's really good.
Like coming in here today, if she had just said, I'm sorry for how I acted today. Great, golden. But no, she held it back.
Have you seen that video of like all the words my wife can't pronounce? It's like encyclopedia and like
really hard words.
Really hard words, and then it says I'm sorry. She's like I can't pronounce that word. It's way too hard.
Nope, next. And I was wrong. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Hard for you too.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
hard.
Yeah.
Have you heard like whatever you say in the first 6 weeks, like don't
Right?
erase it. Don't take it seriously. Yeah, don't go back to that time because you are not yourselves.
Well, Adam will say it's for 6 months.
4 year. We keep adding the time.
We're still.
Maybe just
How old
forgive
is Nina?
quickly, keep no record of wrongs.
Yeah.
Those are good pieces of advice.
Yeah. I get the feeling that when you talk about birth, when you talk about this, the experience, people are mostly like, oh my God, we're pregnant. So-and-so's pregnant. We have a baby. Oh my God, oh my God. Like it's a huge, amazing life change, right? That is not talking about the stress and change that is coming with it. And that's a guarantee, and it's okay and it's beautiful. But I hope people get from this podcast the importance of discussing. You're going to have physical change, emotional change, relationship change, responsibility change, maturity change. Like the change is going to be off the hook, crazy.
Yes.
Right? That's different than, oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot. So patience.
But they can have their excitement and
Oh yeah.
Both
of course.
exist simultaneously. That's life.
yeah.
Yeah, you need it to get through it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think there's so much we take so personal because of the shift that happens in both of us at different times in different ways. And we have to come up against so much of ourselves. Like we have been so refined by our children and parenting. It has been the most humbling mirror held up to us about, the weaknesses. And I think when you are come to face with that, there can be such tremendous growth, but it's so much work and it's so hard. And I think that's like a huge thing, like you're saying, like you can choose to mature or not. It doesn't happen overnight, but yes, acknowledging the process, the conversations that have to keep happening. And
Yes.
That's
Keep happening.
exactly.
Not one time we talked about that.
Yep. And don't you remember? It's like a check-in. So something we've recently incorporated is trying to have just a marriage business meeting weekly, just to touch base on schedules. When are these things happening? When are we having sex? All the things that weren't happening, and you're like that little touch point. Yeah. Like, are we each having recreational? When are we exercising? Getting our main things and making sure we check off those boxes. Or sometimes like, hey, I have so much more going on this week. I'm going to need your help at home more. I need you to carry more this week because it's a crazy week, or this is stressful. We've been married almost 15 years and this is the first few months that we've done this, and you're just like, how do we not do this better? We were so much assumptions and you were just going, and that is where you kind of have a recipe for disaster.
I just smile when you say the business meeting, because when we were going to open our practice, we did have a lot of business meeting, but a baby came out from
For some reason, the business meeting always ended in sex.
Excel spreadsheets get
Okay,
you going.
that's how they started before the kids, and now the business. Well,
Yeah. With that too, we have also recently have incorporated meetings. Sometimes we meet just to talk about the business, or sometimes we meet just to talk about us or just the kids. But also it's so much easier, right? Like less tension in expectation or assumptions, or like instead of, let's be clear of what you're gonna do, what are my duties, how are we gonna support each other, is there anything that is bothering you from last week, check in, so that the week flows.
Yes.
And then as a couple, we also grow. Like my love for him grows because like it's like we're on the same page. I'm not getting upset at him because he didn't do this because I thought he knew that he needed to do that.
Yes.
So
or you're bringing it up to him outside of it being the heated moment, which helps too.
Yes.
Postpartum, I think those are two great questions to keep evaluating every week. Maybe is like, what am I doing great, and where can I better support you? Men have some grace for how much support you need early on. I think those two things can give you a good starting point.
Yes.
Of like the gaps.
Yeah. So that your marriage survives.
Yes.
And that you have a better.
And don't give up in that first year because it is brutal.
Yes.
And we're here on the other side of it.
Yes.
Saying that you can get stronger and it will build you up in ways you can't imagine.
Yes.
So don't throw in the towel when it can be bleak, and
Yes.
learn from our mistakes, please.
I think we just got used to navigate in the beautiful, chaotic life with kids. Because it's not like it will get better. I get better in how to navigate my life now with kids.
Oh,
Because I've asked teenager moms or bigger, is this like, when is this gonna get better? It's like, it doesn't get better. It's the issues, the situation changes. But it's how are we navigating it?
By watching this podcast, that's how I'm navigating it.
yeah.
Boom.